Today we are going to tackle question number 20 of the CKA practice exam. The question says create a static pod named myStaticPod in namespace default on control plane. It should be of image nginx and have resource request for 10M CPU and 20 MI memory. Then create a NodePort service named staticpod service which exposes that static pod on port 80 and check if it has endpoints and if it's reachable through the control plane internal IP address. You can connect to the internal node IPs from your main terminal. Let's start the question. First, let's SSH into the control plane node. Clear the screen. The pod name is myStaticPod. Run myStaticPod. Image is nginx --try--run equals to client -o YAML. For temporary we will be using the same name myStaticPod. Copy paste .yaml. Okay, there's no k. I have to write the whole kubectl because we are inside the node. Vim myStaticPod. Okay, creation timestamp. Let's remove the unnecessary bits that we don't need. Now we need to add request and request for CPU and memory. Resource limit. We'll go for resource quota, but not this one. The concept documentation. They will go for, let's go down, and we need actually this, just this one. We have resource, we have request, but for memory we only need 20 MI, and for CPU we need 10M. Okay, now that's it. Let's save and quit. Now we have to start this pod. We have to move this pod with sudo command. We have to move this pod to etc Kubernetes manifests. Here we have to move it, and kubectl get all. Now we can see that our static pod is running in the control with the suffix of control plane, which means that it is running as a static pod. Now the second part of the question is to expose this with the name static pod service. Let's do this. K run k expose --name. I have to give it a name of static pod service --type of node port --port of 80. Okay, Kubernetes expose kubectl expose my static pod control plane. Its name is static pod service, type is node port, port is 80. The server doesn't have a resource type my static pod control plane. We just missed pod here. Okay, now it's exposed. Kubectl get all. Now it's exposed. I think let's come out of this node and k get all. Okay, now what we do is k get nodes minus o wide. The control plane has an internal IP address. Let's copy it. Let's say k get all, k get po minus o wide. Also, one more thing is that we have to check the k get ep for endpoints, and we can see that it is having an endpoint here which is the same as this one. Okay, now let's curl this, curl http :// let's give it a port of, where is the port, there is a port 32320, 32320, and it's giving us the nginx page. So tutorial is done. Thank you for watching.